Now let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
And because Jake Paul doesn't know better. He can't learn how to win that front foot challenge by the time he fights Tank. Tank is a southpaw. If he, just like Terence Crawford did against Nello, he gets on the outside of Jake, and that left is coming down the pipe all night while he stays away from Jake's right hand, it should be an easy fight for Tank.
You got a guy, Jake Paul, that's what, 6'3", 6'4", almost. Then you got a guy, Gervonta Davis, that's like 5'5", a little guy. Yeah. Y'all going to try to, who's 200 pounds, who's just for Mike Tyson there, I'm going to throw him in there with a 135. It's just a circus.
Reports have surfaced that Terence Crawford has been sparring with Gervonta Davis as Davis prepares for his upcoming fight against Jake Paul. The training footage shows both men exchanging sharp techniques and powerful combinations, with Crawford's precision pushing Davis to refine his timing and defense. These sessions seem designed to help Tank adjust to Jake's size and strength, giving him a taste of what to expect in the ring. The intensity of their sparring has generated major excitement among fans who believe that working with a technician like Crawford could give Davis a serious advantage when fight night arrives.
Stop closing up. Gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
The host of the Wade Concept podcast recently shared his thoughts on Gervonta Davis's preparation for the Jake Paul fight, noting a major shift in Tank's attitude and focus. He explained that Davis's sparring sessions and workouts now carry a new level of intensity, sharper, faster, and more determined than in previous camps. In earlier fights, Tank often appeared relaxed and playful during training, but this time he's all business. Every punch, every movement, and every drill seems fueled by his desire to silence critics who think this matchup is just for publicity. According to Wade, Tank is training with a killer mindset, not just aiming to win, but to knock Jake Paul out. His workouts showcase explosive energy, lightning footwork, and
It's how you get better. But Jake's, obviously sparring smaller guys, seeing not only what weapons they bring to a sparring session because, they're not as big in stature. There's going to be a 60-pound weight difference probably. Actually, a little bit of update on that today as well. Tank's looking a little bigger than I've normally seen him. We'll talk about that in a second. But obviously, Jake is going to work with some of the better guys in the smaller weight classes to get prepared for what Tank could potentially bring. Now, Tank is a one of one in that respect, so it's difficult sometimes to prepare yourself in that same way. But on that same note, we have a couple new things out from Tank Davis. Number one, it's not necessarily new, but the last kind of work we've seen from Tank, just in general, is this video right here. Just chopping the bag, turning over shots. Chopping to the body, every shot to the midsection. Now again, not to read too much into things, but we go back to this video, and I don't know what's being said here between Ray and Jake, but he's telling him, something with the high guard, don't even do that. I'm trying to draw a parallel between potentially what Ray Ford did to Jake in this spar and what could potentially be going down in Tank's camp that can line up the dots. Again, we don't have a lot to go off of. What we generally think may happen in this fight is that Jake Paul will probably use his size, his frame, and his power to try to land big shots, not throw a ton of punches, and not gas himself out against Tank, who, again, this is an exhibition. Yes, there'll be judges, and someone, I guess, will win, is what they're saying. But does that mean that someone actually has a win-loss on their record? No, because you can't sanction something like this in a pro fight. Tank, on the other hand, who already is a low-output puncher, is going to look to utilize his speed, his head movement, his quickness, his agility, his angles, his footwork, his defense to offense transition, and vice versa, to catch Jake when he does eventually open up with bigger punches and make him pay. Also, he's going to look to slow Jake down and potentially work him into those later rounds to where Tank can still be explosive. And when I look at this little exchange from Jake and Ray Ford, again, I could be completely missing the read here. Ray is either telling him, this is what you need to do, or this is what I was able to do to you because of, we go back here, because of this high guard, I was able to get to your body. Something like that, maybe. Or it could be, again, I could be just completely missing it. And then you see this from Tank. All body work. Just hammers to the body. Level changes, head off center, angle switch, all that work in the bag. That was one of the more recent videos we saw.
Showbiz the Adult offers sharp take on one of the fight's most talked about topics, the height and reach difference between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. He reminded fans that Tank has already defeated taller and more experienced fighters in the past. According to Showbiz, the supposed size gap between Jake and Tank is being exaggerated. He pointed out that Davis's knockout went over Mario Barrios, who was taller and longer than Jake. Proves that Tank knows how to close the distance and break down bigger opponents with timing and precision. Showbiz argued that while Jake may have physical advantages, he lacks the defensive instincts and boxing IQ of fighters like Barrios. Once Tank finds his rhythm, he can use his compact power and accuracy to turn Jake's reach against him and control the fight's pace.
Look at that. Did he reach him? He sure did. Look at the height, 6 feet and 6'1". The height comparison ain't much different. And the thing is, if you look at him, the thing is, look at how Tank shows that he can reach him. You see that push? Look where Tank's hand is. Look at where Jake's chin is. He can reach him. In reaching him, though, can he hurt him? The gloves are big. You get what I'm saying? Jake Paul is a big guy. They're going to be fighting at 195. When Jake Paul gets in the ring, he's going to be 200 plus. All right? He may be around 210. Think Jake's going night-night? Okay. Tank studying? Okay. Let's look at Tank. That was just a couple days ago. They captured that just a couple days ago, him training for Jake. Of course, that's a 300-pound boxing bag, a heavy bag, 300 pounds. So he's swinging it. Let's look at Gervonta and look at Barrios. Let's look at a few highlights here. He can reach 6 feet, no problem, let alone 6'1". Ain't gonna be that much of a difference. All right. Let's break down what we saw here. Let's think about this. Let's think about it. Now that we know he's reaching him, let's think about this. Who's a more skillful fighter, Barrios or Jake Paul? Ain't even a damn question. Barrios a far more skillful fighter than Jake. Who has better reflexes, Barrios or Jake Paul? Barrios. Barrios has better reflexes.
Terence Crawford himself gave a balanced, realistic take on the upcoming matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. He praised Tank's elite power, speed, and ring intelligence, but also acknowledged Jake's size as a legitimate factor. Crawford said both fighters have paths of victory depending on how they use their strengths. Tank with his explosiveness and precision, Jake with his reach, height, and strong chin. He believes that if Davis lands cleanly, Jake could be in serious trouble. But if Jake manages to stay at range and use a jab effectively, he could make things difficult for Davis. Crawford's analysis shows the insight of a true champion. Someone who understands that even when skill levels differ, physical attributes can still influence the outcome.
Tank is very talented, punch hard, explosive, the whole 9 yards, but Jake too big for Tank. In reality, he's way too big for Tank. I think Jake,
Recent training footage of Gervonta Davis has left fans stunned. Tank is seen unleashing furious combinations on the heavy bag with incredible speed and precision. Each punch lands with explosive force, echoing through the gym, a clear sign of how hard he's pushing himself for this fight. His focus is razor sharp, his conditioning is top tier, and his rhythm looks perfectly tuned. Every strike feels like a message. Tank isn't playing around. He's training to prove that even against a bigger opponent, his power, technique, and determination can't be overshadowed. This version of Gervonta Davis looks more... Several boxing analysts have weighed in on the unusual nature of the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul matchup, saying it blurs the line between true boxing and entertainment. These experts, who study both technical skill and promotion, argue that this fight leans more towards spectacle than sport. Yet, they also acknowledge that the immense attention it's drawing proves how much boxing has evolved. While purists criticize it for
this, with fighters pretty much in their prime. But other than the size mismatch, most people are wondering why has Tank taken this fight? And those were the first questions targeted to Tank in this presser. Because usually these sorts of bouts are relegated to the latter part of your career. And for most Gervonta Davis supporters, they thought they would get the big fights next, the Shakurs. They didn't think he would be fighting Jake Paul. Although Tank tried to push it off as fans should just be happy watching the sport and hey, haters will be haters, I think that's quite unfair to the people who have been loyal supporters of him and honestly have paid his bills. He tried to compare the level of criticism he gets to the likes of Mayweather, but the difference is with his mentor Floyd, he really did fight a lot of champs in their prime. Has Tank? Well, not really. The most notable fight he's recently had that the people actually wanted was the Ryan Garcia fight, and the only reason he took that fight was because everything was on his terms. And other than the Ryan fight over the last couple years, it's either been people who aren't in his weight division, which he's pulling up, or fighters ranked in the lower half of the top 10 lightweight list. The fights people have truly wanted to see just have never materialized, and simply that's why people criticize him. If the likes of Crawford never fought Spence or Usyk never fought Fury or Joshua, they would have caught the same level of flack. The reason why fighters like them are applauded is because generally they take on whatever challenge is in front of them. Tank instead, his whole career has bobbed and weaved around the most significant challenges that the people actually want to see unless he has everything his way.
Former world champion Chris Algieri, known for his sharp boxing IQ and balanced commentary, gave Jake Paul credit for changing how boxing connects with a modern audience. Algieri pointed out that Jake has injected fresh energy into a sport that had been losing mainstream traction. His ability to attract both influencers and professional fighters demonstrates his unique promotional power. Instead of relying on championship belts or long careers, Jake built his success through personality, creativity, and
I don't see the value. I just see money involved in that. If they want the money, if that's what they want to do, then go ahead and go ahead and get the money. But other than that, I'm not. You got a guy, Jake Paul, that's what, 6'3", 6'4", almost. Then you got a guy, Gervonta Davis, that's like 5'5", a little guy. Yeah. Y'all gonna try to, who's 200 pounds, who's just for Mike Tyson there, I'm gonna throw him in there with a 135. It's just a circus. And that's what they want to do to get money, to generate money in the sport of boxing instead of Gervonta Davis. This is a legacy fight. He was supposed to fight Lamont Rope after this. And then he say, no. Think about it. You really can't say too much. When you say Gervonta Tank Davis and you say Lamont Roach, there's still a question mark on that fight. It was still a question mark on that rumble. You just gonna leave it and then go right to the money and say, no, I ain't. That's how you know legacy and everything don't matter. I did that before. I took the money with the Joe Smith fight. When my hand was fucked up and, excuse my language, my hand was messed up, broke in training camp, and I still said, yo, no, I'm taking that, I'm still fighting him. I'm not gonna not fight him again. I'm gonna fight, we're fighting him, Dad. We're fighting him, Rick. We're fighting him, Fred. I went against everybody. Jesse, don't take the fight, man. Let your hand heal. Let's get the surgery. No, I'm fighting him. It's too close. We 3 weeks out. I'm fighting him. We're gonna take a week off from the gym, and that wasn't an excuse. That's documented.
That's it for today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates, breakdowns, and reactions from the world of boxing. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.